Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. We're back for part 2 of the Ettercap, or as I like to call them, the Spider Herders. We're in the Monster Manual 3.5. There's the Ettercap reference art. And let's look at that and ours. And ours is something kind of like that. So, I was not wanting to do the standard paint job for that guy. I had an idea how I wanted to do it. I was just looking at some tarantula images online. And since I ended up making ours kind of hairy, I came up with my own kind of deal I want to do. So I'm going to get a cheap brush here. I'm going to paint his legs a dark reddish brown, and I'm not going to worry about doing his toes, or whatever you call those protruding pieces that come out of his fingers and or out of his hands and feet. So what I want to do is I want to do his legs in this like reddish dark brown and work them down into kind of like an orangish brown. And then for his main torso, I want to do some blues and grays. Because again, like I said, I was looking at some images of some spiders online. I keep calling everything reference images, but and I saw it looked cool, and I just was like, oh, I'd like to do that. How could I do that? And so let's try it. So, obviously I'll do a short about how to run Ettercaps, but let me talk about using Ettercaps as like a kind of menacing low-level boss. So, Ettercaps are not particularly intelligent, but they're very cunning hunters. So, if there were like a mine outside of town that had been abandoned and they want to start using it again, you could easily have that to where there's an Ettercap in there now, and he's been building up the spider population and growing a colony of spiders in there, and there might be multiple female spiders, and maybe it's more of a hierarchy. I don't know how to say what I want to say. Situation where the Ettercaps kind of become like the ruler of the spiders, and you could throw some different types of spiders in there, of monstrous spiders. I wouldn't say go into like phase spiders and stuff. And we saw a really bad example of a bad relationship of spiders with no story to it in the Baldur's Gate 3 game, where they had two Ettercaps with some phase spiders and a phase spider queen or matriarch or whatever. What I would do is I would keep it. The Ettercap itself is a low level enemy. I would keep the fight as a low level kind of boss. So ultimately, in order to gain resolution in this mine problem, what you might want to do is have it to where you deal with the Ettercap. And once the Ettercap's dealt with, most of the regular spiders are no threat, the larger ones and stuff, and the little ones. But there's maybe a couple monstrous ones you still have to deal with, probably. Because it says they're loyal to him like a dog. The spiders don't have the intelligence of a dog, so I'm not sure how that works. This is a dark blue apple barrel. This is cheap paint. Admiral blue. Admirable? No, Admiral blue, yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint his body with this. Brush is a little big for what I'm trying to do, honestly. I could probably swap it to something smaller and be easier to deal with. But sometimes I just do stuff and that's just how I'm going to do it. It's one of the things that I think comes with age, too, is you start getting more like, this is how I'm going to do this now. I don't know how you guys are, for you ones that are in my age group, or maybe even older, but in my age group, I sometimes just get, like, I know I'm making it not the best way, but I'm committed. When I was younger, I was a lot more malleable. I'd be willing to say, well, you know what, there's a better way to do this. Let's look for it. And now it's hit or miss if I can bring myself to do that or not. Okay. It seems easier to do it in work than it does in play. My example is this. If I'm at my job and a task comes up and I start to do it the best way I know how, or the way I've always known, and I see a better way, because I don't want to set a bad example for those who work for me or work with me, I will quickly modify my approach. Also, when I'm at work, I tend to try to make activities team-based. So if we're doing something, I might say to the other people involved in the task, anybody have any thoughts of how we should tackle this? And that might stop me from even starting a way I would have normally done it, to give somebody an opportunity to shine or to show that they have a technique or an idea that they can think outside the box. So it's a lot easier in a workplace for me to adapt. But when I'm not in a team environment, like here, where we're a team in the fact that we're working together to get this done, but I'm doing the labor and you're not contributing to the conversation right now. Maybe you're sitting at your computer watching this, the day after I recorded it or later that day, but you're not, I can't hear you. So if you're like, oh, that was dumb. Like somebody sent me an awesome comment about how they made a dwarf on my dwarf video. They're like, hey, I cut some clue pieces up and made a dwarf. And I went and looked at the clue pieces online. And I was like, oh, yeah, I see how you could do that. That was awesome. But they weren't in the conversation the day I painted a dwarf. So, yeah, we're a team, but our collaboration is very limited. That's why I'd like people to hop on Discord and talk to me about stuff. You know what monsters are coming up. If you've been playing D&D, you know what's in the monster manuals and what's what. Come help a brother out, Show me what you got. Show me what I'm doing wrong. Because, I'm not perfect yet. All right. Something that I can dry brush with. This is kind of crappy. This might work. All right, let's get a medium blue and a gray and mix them. So I'm going to get this medium pewter gray and this, what blue is this? Mountain blue? It's kind of medium. I'm just going to get a dab at each of those. There we go. I think this mountain blue feels a little damp. It is a little damp. All right, let's get some other blue. We can still mix it all. It doesn't matter. All right, this is called Award Blue. Okay, nice. Let's make a nice cold color here. This is a lot of paint to waste. Probably didn't need this much paint. And this is significantly lighter than I wanted it to be. Right off the bat, I can tell you that. So I'm going to leave what I have in my brush there. I'm going to grab some of that Admiral blue we used as the base coat. Admiral, not admirable. That's a lot of paint. Okay, try not to waste paint like I do. I'm setting a bad example here. Okay, let's darken that up a little bit. There we go, something like that. And let's get some variation on them. We're not covering every spot, and we're not coloring them in. We're just getting variation so that our blue looks a little less monotone. And if you update it a couple times to make sure you can see some good variation, just come back through and hit it again. We're not in a hurry. Well, we are, but we aren't. I'm kind of in a hurry because I like to keep my crafts to a certain length, and I'm doing this on a video, and if this thing gets an hour long, I've noticed on the videos that go an hour, I don't get as many views. And since I'm kind of like view driven here, that's kind of like the model of YouTube. If I want more people to see what I'm making, all right. Now I'm going to get a small makeup brush, preferably a really small one. Ooh, this one's good. I've never used this one. Nice. I'm going to get a small makeup brush. I'm going to just drag this around and pick up some of the high points. Hit his nails. Get a little bit more of that gray on there and try to lighten that up a little bit more. Not significantly, just a tad. Okay, let's lighten this up one more time. I got this really nasty granite here. Cool. Okay, that's pretty light. Okay, let's just kind of touch him and bring some really big contrast to a little bit of him. Let's hit the edges of those nails. And let's focus up on his head and face a little bit. Okay, throw that paint down. Let's go back to dealing with his arms, but I want to dry brush down to a lighter orange at some point. Alright, so I'm looking for that chestnut. I found that chestnut. This is just another one of those apple barrel colors from Walmart. This cheapy stuff. And what I want to do with this is I want to get it and I want to wipe a lot of it off. And I just want to add some variation to these arms. And then in any spots where the blue kind of got onto the arms and legs, we want to use this mid-tone reddish brown to kind of hide that. So if you get a little bit thick in some spots, like right there where I did on the knee, that's okay. But on the back of his arms, I got a lot of blue there. We'll get that cleaned right up. There you go. Nice. Not even blue now. Okay. We'll take this. We'll put a little bit of that here to play with. And we'll get some orange. We'll get just a little dab of this orange. I can't think of what that one color I have is that might work better than this, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to wipe a lot of that off. And we're going to come back and just kind of touch around and grab some spots. I'm not hitting any of the lower spots on him at this point. I'm just hitting some of the stuff that's up higher, the top of his legs, and the top of his arms, his shoulder areas. Okay. So, they have disgusting black eyes, it says. So that probably means that after I paint this dude and clear coat him, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to come back after it's all said and done and put gloss on his eyes. And I think they have more than two eyes. Yeah, they have some other little eyes too. So I'm going to do, since this model doesn't have any, I'm just going to make the tiniest little dots to simulate that. I'm going to do one on the outside of each and four above. All right. I'm going to catch that again. All right, something like that. So let's look at his base. We haven't even touched that yet. And these guys generally are going to live in caves, so that's exciting news for me. Let's get my favorite color in the whole world. Pavement. And let's get a... Where's that brush I like to use that I ruined? There it is. This was like my favorite workhorse brush. I accidentally dipped it in super glue rushing one day. Okay. We want to paint that rock and this base gray. Dark gray pavement. Texas tea. I hope we got all of it. I can't tell. Now we're going to get some variation on there. We're going to get that same medium gray we used earlier. Where'd I put it? Oh. Put it in the wrong bin. That doesn't help my cause. Okay. Now we're going to hit this with a +2 hot air gun burning. Rinse out my brush. And I really want more of an orangish to those arms. All right, let's get a cheap brush I was just using. Something like that. There we go. That's what I want. Something a little more like that. That's what I wanted for mine. You do what you want with yours. And we need to do something about that base because it's just too bright. So I'm going to get this elephant gray here. Do a little bit of something like that on the base. And let's come back with black and do around the edges of the base and make it look nice. Where's that hideous purple brush at? We'll use that. Clean this brush out too. This purple brush is probably going to become, until I decide how much I hate it, it's probably going to become my new generic, like, workhorse brush. Because it hasn't upset me yet. And even though it's a fatter brush that holds a lot more paint, it's still got a good tip to it, which I do appreciate. Does hold a good bit of paint. That's a good brush. I feel like it's kind of cheapy though. The bristles look like they're going to be popping out pretty soon. I just started using it yesterday, like once. Okay. Let's come back around and make sure our corners are kosher. Sweet. All right, so I'm not going to flock this dude, I don't think. Well, we could do something with flock. Let's see what we got. I found my dead spread that I'm always bitching about. I can't find. I call it dead spread. It's not dead spread. Let's hit this with some the +2 hot air gun and burn it and dry that black up. I'm really kind of unhappy with his mouth pinchers. They look too too plain. So I'm just going to get some of this, whatever this color is here, ash gray. And I'm going to get a brush. My old ruined brush will be good for this. I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. I'm just going to lighten those up significantly so they look less plain and boring. And I'm pushing very lightly here. I'm just grabbing it and dragging it just to make those stand out a little better. I like that better. Okay, good. So let's get a toothpick and some clear glue. Yes, this toothpick has been used on multiple. I've been using it for a couple of days. That's all right. As long as you wipe the glue off before it sits to dry, you won't have big lumps to worry about. It won't be too gross. Now, this is kind of a larger flock than the normal stuff I put on bases. I actually made this for working on terrain. So, let's take a look at what we can do with it. Thank you, my friend, for your continued service. Whoa, knocked over some paint brushes. I'll clean that up after the video. All right, so anyways, this is what I came up with for mine. Let's see what you came up with yours. Hop on the Discord and show us. We're really interested, especially me. I know Scordic would love to see him, and some of the other members would love to see him too. I'm going to clear coat this dude. I'm going to come back and hit his eyes with a gloss Mod Podge and take him up on the table, and let's see what he looks like next to some other minis. And maybe let's take a look at how we'd run him. Well, there's no maybe about that. I have lots of ideas. So, we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the notification bell icon. Go to the website, buy some minis. Join the Discord, show us what you've been up to. Thanks for watching. See you next time.